one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Member Waveline?
Here.
Member Corcoran?
Here.
Member Hagelin?
Here.
Member Peterson? Member Rayfield?
Here.
Member Christensen?
Here.
And Member Tyson, all here.
All right, this time I'd entertain a motion to approve tonight's meeting agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. We can move right into our election of school board officers. At this time, we would entertain nominations for president.
I would like to nominate Rob Rayfield for president.
Rob, you accept?
I do.
Do we have any further nominations? Any further nominations?
I'd like to nominate Member Evelyn for president. I feel like his policy committee work and his knowledge of policy and his knowledge of rules of order and procedural matters would very much benefit this board.
Member Evelyn, you accept?
I do.
Any further nominations? Any further nominations? Any further nominations? Nominations are closed. At this time, all those in favor of voting for Member Rayfield, in alphabetical order, so.
Can I make a comment prior to voting?
Sure.
All right, so with that, I would just like to say that effective leaders genuinely care about and work to assure the success of every individual on their team. I feel that this approach would result in a stronger and more effective board. As the board president, I feel like I can bring core leadership concepts to this role and will work tirelessly for the success of every board member. Thank you for your consideration.
Rayfield, did you have a comment?
Sure. I'd just like to say that Forsyth Schools are a great school district. In the past, when I've chaired, I've tried to listen to board members because every board member comes and they have an opinion and they have people that they work with in the community and they all bring something forward, and it's just critical that we all work together and not get distracted by national issues. Our issues are strong academics, making sure that kids have a great career pathway so that when they get their diploma, they've got something important and it's important to them and it's their education. And so I think that's what we need to be fighting for in this as a board. That's the policy that we need to set. And with that, that's what I'm going to focus on.
So with that, we will take a vote on board chair, and we will vote first those who support Member Rayfield, raise your hand. Those supporting Member Evelyn, raise your hand. Member Rayfield has won the election, so with that, I would like to say it's been my pleasure to serve all of you as chair in my tenure in doing so, and I will turn the meeting over to Member Rayfield.
Take the name.
Don't make me use that.
All right, continuing our elections. We have a nomination for vice president.
I'd like to nominate Member Evelyn, the same reasons I previously stated.
I would like to nominate Member Peterson.
All right, and so we're just going to, oh, I'm sorry. All right. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any further nominations? Our nominations are closed for vice president. And I think I'll go in the order of the nomination. And we'll raise our hand if we're for somebody. So for Member Raveline for vice president, please raise your hand. And for vice president, Member Peterson, please raise your hand. Thank you. Member Peterson is our vice president. All right, for clerk. nominations for clerk?
I'd like to nominate Jill Christensen for clerk.
Any other nominations? If there's no other nominations, any other nominations? I forgot though. I appreciate it. I have one thing to do. Okay. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any further nominations? All right. If there's no further nominations, all in favor of having Member Christensen as our clerk, raise your hand. Congratulations, Member Christensen. All right. The treasurer. Are there any nominations for treasurer?
I would like to nominate Member Corcoran.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? I got it right on that last time. If not, I'm going to close the nominations and all in favor of Member Corcoran as our treasurer, raise your hand. All right, congratulations. Before we proceed, I'd like to thank Chair Peterson. As many people remember, Chair Peterson led us forward through one of the most difficult and turbulent times in our board's history as we went through COVID, which was unexpected. It was a surprise. It threw a lot of organizations into absolute chaos. And Member Peterson calmly and directly led this ship through that. And for that, I think we owe him a real debt of gratitude. So thank you. All right, scheduled and unscheduled visitors, listening session report.
I'd like to cover that. We had 2 visitors tonight. Our initial discussion centered around academic performance and the new elementary reading curriculum primarily. One of the visitors also expressed a little bit of concerns about the earlier start times. So as we discussed last month, it's something we probably want to keep our eye on. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. And we have the green cards. Student achievement, Linwood Elementary, Principal Mattson.
All right. Like I've said before, I like having a mic, so I have to have it nice and close. Thank you, school board members, for allowing us to come and share a little bit more about what Linwood Elementary is doing. Thank you, Superintendent Massey. So let's get started. Usually when I come and do this, this is my 4th year doing this, I come with about 3 or 4 different things. And I decided that this year, after some recommendations, to just choose to dig into one thing. And I felt like the school forest is the one thing that really defines what Linwood is all about. And so I wanted to kind of take that as being what we're going to focus on tonight, but not just that, how the school forest significantly impacts student learning in our building and what data I might have to back that up. So before we get started, I just wanted to talk about our build team, our building instruction leadership team worked last year on writing what our purpose was, what our core values were, and kind of what our motto is. So as you can see, our purpose at Linwood is to learn and grow through connections with nature and each other. And the core values that are listed there are the non-negotiables. So when we're trying to make a decision at Linwood, one of the things we do is we go through those and we try to define, is this decision going to be one that meets what our core values say about who we are? And then of course our motto is, there's no place like Linwood. So we don't need to read this, but one thing that I've found out is when I talk to people in the community, when I talk to maybe even people that have been in the district, they don't always know for sure, how did the school forest all come about? And I think a lot of that has to do with, it came about a long time ago, and staffing changes, school board members change. So I just wanted to quickly tell you that the Minnesota School Forest history is really, it came out of Bemidji State, and I'm a graduate of Bemidji State. So I'm really proud of that, but the whole concept of that came from a professor of Bemidji State, and it started in 1949. And currently, we have 150 schools in the state of Minnesota that have a school forest. So I just kind of wanted to put that up there to just let you know that it has been around for a while. When we speak specifically about the Linwood School Forest, if you look at that picture there, that's Gene Baylant, and he was the principal at Linwood Elementary, I believe, for 31 years. And one of the honors that I've been able to have is just building a relationship with him, and we see each other every fall. He actually was on a visit in our building with the custodian, Warren, that was with Gene at Linwood. And it was fun to walk the two of them around because the building has changed drastically. So Gene was the one that secured the land for the school forest. So I not only want to make him proud, but just the legacy that he set. Currently we have 220 acres in our forest, and it was all started in 1994. So I think I've talked about Jen Brado before. That's a picture of Jen and I. After my first year at Linwood, Jen gifted me with this book, and I thought, what the heck is this? Last Child, okay, well, let's see how this goes. So that summer, I read that entire book. And if you look at the little note about what that book is about, it says Saving Our Children from the Nature Deficit Disorder. And a lot of that book is research and facts and all about what the nature deficit disorder is. And this book was written a while back, but even since COVID, the nature deficit grows exponentially with our children. And I am going to be a component and a loud voice to try to fight against that nature deficit in the kids at Linwood. So just if you want an idea, people, particularly children, spend less time in nature. And because of the amount of time that our children spend not in nature, these are the kind of things that are lending to that. So if you think about our schools right now and you look at obesity, you look at ADHD, you look at rates of depression or even mental health, we all see that as being a trend in our schools. And one of the biggest part of that is because our kids are not spending time outside. So I wanted to show you this video, and it was really exciting for me to come across this past fall. So PBIS does a little video about the science behind outdoor relaxation. It's about 4 minutes long.
Fasten your seatbelts.
This is amazing. Did you vote? It feels like I have a home.
These are your immigrant ancestors. This is why.
This isn't a part of the video.
Gotta love ads.
Studying your motivate and finding your roots. Are we really this close? I can't tell you what we found, but what we found was you.
At Twin Cities PBS, we're proud to be part of your community. Your support has allowed us to showcase the incredible talent and creativity that thrives right here where we live. Let's continue to grow and thrive together. If you are already a member, thank you. The following program is available because of your support. If you are not yet a member, please consider supporting programs you love today.
Please count backwards from 1,000 to 0 by sevens. Okay, yeah, I don't like this. For example, you would start by saying 1,000 followed by 993, 986, and so on.
Do you have any questions?
I have a lot of questions. Why are you making me do that?
For the sake of science.
Oh, for science. That's always a good excuse. 657.
And so, I continue with a mission you can only call mind numbing. Amy's making part of my brain work extra hard, the part that has to pay attention to get through a challenging task. Just like your brain has to do if you're driving in heavy traffic or dealing with too much screen time. You know, modern life.
Great, good job. You can stop now.
Wow, that was horrible.
You
You ready to get out of this lab?
I am so ready to get out of this lab.
Awesome.
Are you sure you're not doing another experiment where you just wire people up and send them off into the park?
And see how self-conscious they are.
Now this is a new experience. Walking around Red Butte Garden with a sci-fi swimming cap over my head and what looks like a child's backpack. Thank God I have this sign on my back, because I know whoever sees me is gonna have some questions. But in the name of science, I relax. The pastoral settings take over. The grass, the trees, the fields. There's even a little babbling brook. For a moment, I forget we're conducting an experiment. But before I know it, it's back to the beige lab to complete the after portion of this test. Thankfully, this time, I don't have to do any math. And boom, I've contributed to the study of neuroscience in the outdoors.
I'm just gonna peel this off your head. It's a little gross feeling, but sweet relief underneath.
Yeah,
How's that feel?
brain can breathe again.
Right?
That's nice. But still, I've got a few questions about her work. What was the point of having me count backwards from 1,000? Was
Yeah.
it just for fun for you, or was there a scientific?
Yeah, just pure evil. Constantly running from one thing to the next, answering emails, text messages. It's thought that that's very depleting for your cognition.
I can guarantee you it's depleting for my time.
Yeah, and so that was our way of in the lab depleting you, so that you go into your walk depleted, so that we can see if you are restored. Being in nature, because there aren't as many attentional demands placed on you at any given moment, that your attention networks are able to really rest and recuperate when you're in nature.
So I know you don't have time to fully analyze my results, but you've done this with a number of other people. What have you learned from your other study subjects?
Yeah, so the protocol that you did.
Here's what Amy and her colleagues have learned. After having your brain stressed out and tired from all that math, a walk in the garden returns your brain to a calmer state. The important thing is that this restoration is greater after a walk in nature than a similar walk in an urban setting.
Yeah, I'm excited by the results of this validating what a lot of humans already feel, and I hope it does go beyond that to policies. Giving people access to trees, real green things, is going to help us all be healthy. Amy, I want to thank you for bringing me into your lab, but most importantly for releasing me from your lab into this beautiful garden and showing me some of what you're learning formally that a lot of us have felt and known informally about the effect of nature on our bodies and our brains. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate
So I was super excited for that video to come out because since I've been at Linwood, I've been searching for what does the research say. And a lot of Richard Liu's work, there's some good research there, but the thing that's powerful about this is brain research. And as we all know, back in the early 2000s, Brian Jensen came out with a book about the brain and training the brain and how the brain learns, and this is just a continuation of that work. So one of the visions that we have at Linwood is just to make sure that all students are more engaged in their learning after time spent in the school forest. And I wanted to see if that was something that happened. So this was just a fun little video of like, when our students go out there, they create things for them to play with or interact with, whether it's a shelter. This was really a fun one because if Renee pushes play on that, they found some trees, however they were laid, and they created a teeter-totter out of it. It just was something that was natural for them, and the laughter and the excitement. So just kids being able to go outside and be kids. Oh, shoot, get on the way. You can stop.
I think you can go to the next one.
Okay, so what I wanted to do when I was at Linwood is if I wanted staff to get out there, then I probably should be the first one to do it. So I wanted to lead by example and that idea of I do, we do, you do. And I think that's been super helpful. So we spend time out in the forest as a staff, but I also take classes out there 3 times a year, and we have more and more teachers that are spending more time with their students out in the forest. So one of the things that we talk about at Linwood is how often should we be out there? One thing that is a big deal in education is how many minutes we spend on literacy, how many minutes we spend on math. And as a classroom teacher, that can be very daunting. And one thing that I've talked to my staff about is, yes, we need to do that, but we also need to make sure that we're working on kids' social and emotional needs, and the forest is an excellent way to do that. So I've really been trying to get feedback and data around, does the forest truly help our students and does it impact their learning and who they are? So obviously we do a lot of professional development, we do all of those different types of things, but it really is just about getting kids out into the forest. I know I talked about this last year, but this idea that we have access for all students and staff to be out there, and that was something that we worked really hard on getting. And it was really helpful when we had students from another building that came to visit us, and there was a mobility issue, and we had Betty, our side-by-side, to take them out there. So it really is about making sure that there's equity for all to be out in the forest. So I just wanted to share with you some Swiss data. Swiss is the storehouse for where we save our referral information. So if a student gets a referral, it could be about some type of behavior that happened on the bus, on the playground, in the classroom, anywhere in a school setting. And if you look at this Swiss data, the reason I am showing you this is it's one whole year. So it goes from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And on the left-hand side, you'll see that there's a bar for every grade level. And then you can see the percentages. And I just need to tell you that during this specific year, our first and second grade were the most classrooms that visited our school forest. And you can clearly see that the amount of referrals at that grade level, there was a huge impact. And you can also see the percentages and look at the other grade levels. Now, it doesn't mean those grade levels weren't out there, but they weren't out there with the regularity and the consistency that first and second grade was. Then, this was really fun. I believe JP and Lloyd worked on some of this data. We're in the yellow, and it might be hard for you to see, but when you look at Linwood, and this is reading over time, so you can see where there's that gap there, that's where COVID occurred. So if you look at the yellow line, that's where Linwood is. And it goes 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. But what I want you to really pay attention to is the time after COVID and how our 3rd and 4th grade students are on a rise. That the instruction, the learning, the development, and the achievement of our students is rising. And if you look at even our 5th and 6th grade, we can always say as teachers that there are different cohorts that go through, and depending on the cohort, it could affect the grades or the achievement, but you can still see that Linwood is doing a really good job of bringing back maybe what we often talk about, lost after COVID, but really that isn't what's holding us back anymore. And so we need to stop talking about what did our kids lose in COVID and get beyond that. And then this is our math. So when you look at math, it's very similar. 4th grade I think is so amazing because it's a preview before COVID, and look at how we dipped so low. And then after COVID, you can see how the kids came in higher and they're continuing to go up. So the data doesn't lie. Now, can I sit here and tell you that that data is only because of the forest? Absolutely not. There are lots of things that come into play. Think about all the stuff that we've added in for the science of reading. All of the teachers that were in Linwood last year all had letters training, and that also has to have some type of impact. We had a benchmark advanced literacy adoption that went in here, so there's other things that are going on, but when you look at Linwood as a whole, the gains that they are making and some of the growth that we're making, you can't deny that the forest has to have some role in that. So this is also an A reading report, and what I did is, this is specifically first grade. And so what I did is, you can see at the bottom the fall and the spring and the growth that these students made. And we looked at it two different ways. But you can tell when you look at the fall and spring, there were 7% of the kids that were struggling. And that didn't change. Now, the kids that were in that group could have changed, and that's something that we can look at a school level. But if you keep moving, in the fall we had 7% that were progressing or getting to proficiency, and in the spring, we didn't have any kids in that category any longer. Then as you move to where we're looking at kids that have mastered what they need to learn in the first grade level, we started with 80% in the fall, which is great. And we went down to 60, but look at what happened to the kids that are exceeding. So that grew from 7 to 33%. So the amount of gains and the amount of students that were moving from one category to the next to get achievement is growing by leaps and bounds. So in a nutshell, what I think we've found at Linwood is we've tapped into something that we easily can tap into because of the resource of the forest, and that it is having an impact on our kids. We're seeing a little bit of every time the school year starts, there seems to be like an increase in referrals, and then that kind of teeters off. But over time, referrals in our building ebb and flow depending on who the kids are in the building. Some of the things that we're going to look forward to before I let our amazing guests come up and just talk to you about how the forest has impacted them. Something that Dr. Massey and I have had some wonderful conversations about. In the year 2000, I was able to, 2014, I was able to go to Finland and visit 2 different sites. And they also have a huge emphasis on kids being outside and kids having play. And so one of the things that another district in the United States that's been working with the university that Dr. Massey has had us working with, they do Forest Fridays, and it's really based around this Finnish philosophy of really getting kids outside for longer periods of time and actually doing your instruction out there. So that is something that we're gonna try to play around with strategically somehow at Linwood. The forest visits continue to grow. We're gonna have one teacher talk to you just about how their grade level does it, and they have a very consistent schedule of getting the kids out there. We continue to collect survey data, and obviously, one thing that I wanna continue to work on is looking at kids that struggle with anxiety, depression, ADHD, and getting more data from them and how the forest impacts them and their learning, and just kind of taking that research and kind of taking it from the narrow and really bringing it in deep. So, this is the best part, I would say. I want to invite some of our 5th grade students up here. And as you can imagine, I'm sure they have some nerves, but they're going to do great. So I'll call them up here.
And as you're coming up, if there's any parents who want to take pictures, feel free to come up here if you'd like.
My name is Donnie and I'm in 5th grade. My name is Jackson and I'm in 5th grade.
My name is Paige and I'm in 5th grade. My name is Cecilia and I'm in 5th grade.
I know, that's what I was just thinking. Is that okay? Guys, get really up close to it.
My favorite thing about the school forest is probably finding new creatures out there. And then my favorite memory in the school forest is probably eating lunch with family out there. And when I'm in the school forest, I feel calm and happy. And then when I go out there, I'm always looking forward to like finding weird things. And when I go out to school forest, it helps me be a better learner because after I'm done with the big test, and then I want a break, I go up there for a break.
My favorite thing about the school forest is I love being outside and all the trees. My favorite memory in the school forest is probably in 4th grade when our class went out to the school forest to do a pond study. And we found a bunch of little animals in a pond. Look forward to building teepees with my friends and look forward to finding all sorts of creatures and wildlife. After being in the school forest and coming back to class, I feel calmer and tired and able to listen better to the teacher, which helped me learn more.
My favorite thing about the school forest is getting to adventure. My favorite memory in the school forest is when we got to go out with second graders and explore and walk around. I feel calm and relaxed in the forest because we can sit down and listen to all the relaxing music. I look forward to all the fun games with the naturalist. It helps. The school forest helps me be a better learner and student by calming me down and refreshing my brain.
My favorite thing about our school forest is a variety of adventures in the school forest. My favorite memory in our school forest is when I saw a deer. It was my favorite memory because I was so close to it. I feel content and cheerful in the school forest because I am surrounded by nature. I look forward to the excitement of looking for our school forest stuffed squirrel, Squeakers. If you find him, you will get to re-hide him. When a visit to the school forest helps me become a better learner because it is so quiet and peaceful. The woods help me get prepared for challenging steps ahead.
I'm Tessa Abrahamson. I teach second grade at Linwood. And lucky for me, we're out of time. We're over our 15 minutes. I was the timekeeper. So I'm done. But she asked me to come and say why we go out a lot. And that's why. I mean, they answered what I was supposed to say. It refreshes them. They are happy out there. It's a good break. School's really intense right now. I mean, my father-in-law always is like, what is John doing? He's a second grader at Linwood, my son, and I'm like, we're doing this. And he's like, I did that in like 4th grade. And I was like, So it's a lot, and it's a lot to be a kid, and it's fun to take kids outside. And I don't know, I could answer some questions, or you can ask any of them questions, but otherwise I think we're done. Are we done? I'm wrapping her up.
And I'm just gonna tell you, she's not shining like she should, because she's been at Linwood for how many years? A lot. Yes. And some good stories. Her grade level, 2nd grade, takes the kids out there very regularly. And they make sure to do a variety of different activities. It might just be relaxing, maybe they just listen or build shelters. It might be a lesson that they have to do for math or reading. So you're selling yourself short, because they do wonderful things for kids out there.
I am happy to have Betty, because I used to pull kids on a sled to get them out there. I had a broken leg kid when I was pregnant, and I got her out there. And then another kid jumped on and was like, oh, I'll take a ride. And I was like, no, that's not what this is. So anyway, I can tell some stories. So do you have any questions for us or the kids?
Any questions or comments?
Principal Matson, I just want to say that a member of the church I attend was pretty influential in attaining the land for the school forest, and when I was elected to the school board, that was one of the things that he really emphasized, that he wanted to make sure we do everything possible to keep the school forest. And it's so nice to see that you're utilizing it and taking every advantage you can to get out there and get the kids refreshed and do educational activities out there. So whatever you can do to keep it up, please keep doing it. I also have a lot of connections, through personal friends or whether who have gone transferred to Linwood or attend Linwood, and it's the first thing they say is that how much they love the forest and the ability to get out there. The one question I do have is, are other schools, elementary schools in the district able to come out and also utilize the forest?
Okay, that's an excellent question. So Kelly Lafine at our Area Learning Center wrote a grant, a TEFLA grant, to bring kids out there. And one of the things that we had a little bit of trouble doing is getting transportation for kids. Now, when we had a group of STEP kids that came out there, and they had a van that was supplied for them, and they came out in the van and they snowshoed, and it was wonderful. But there are schools, especially elementary schools, that would like to come out and utilize it. What we're trying to figure out is transportation. One of the gifts we have in Forest Lake is that we have our own transportation department, but it's how do we partner with our transportation department to take a group of kids from Forest View over there for a little bit and back. So that's like the only hiccup that we're kind of running into is how do we do that? Because it's a free resource and then still have the funds to be able to pay for the transportation from one school to another. So believe me, the elementary principals have been talking about this, and this is something we're trying to like overcome and figure out how can we make this happen. And as the question always is, where does the money come from, right? So something we're definitely looking into.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Donnie, Jackson, Cecilia, and Paige for coming in and sharing your story with us. It's always nice to get it directly from the students. And while I'm thanking people, I should probably thank Tessa for pulling my son around in stuff several years ago.
He was only in second grade, it was okay. I couldn't do it now.
Yeah, it might be a little bit more of a challenge for you now, but no, I echo the statements Member Hagelin made about how beneficial of a resource this is, and I would love to see other schools out there as well. I seem to remember too that we used to do some field trips at different nature centers, and maybe reallocating those field trips from the various commercial nature centers to instead utilize the resource that we have in district would be part of the answer of where we find the funds. So, yeah, keep working on that issue, and thank you for all you do.
I just wanted to ask the kids, do you do recess in the forest, or is your recess a different time and a different place?
Different time and a different place.
Okay, so you have like a playground for recess, and then the forest is just a special different time. You go out there. Do you go out there just with your teachers, or?
Well, with the announcements.
Oh. Okay, thank you very much.
Gretchen, thank you for providing all the data. I mean, your scores are amazing. Congratulations to everybody's hard work on that. The Swiss data as well. I'm wondering if, you talked about the finished work, and I went to some of those meetings when the finished people were here. You see in, county parks and state parks, outdoor classroom type settings. Is that something you're envisioning, or? Because currently you don't really have set classes out there.
So how many classrooms do we have out there, you guys?
You already have those?
Two. We have 2 outdoor classrooms, and this group is also, these are a part of our forest ranger group, so it makes 5th and 6th graders, they apply to be a forest ranger, so all of them are part of that with us. And so we just were awarded a grant through the Tree Trust program, and so they are gonna be giving us trees, bird houses, benches for our playground area, but then also building a 3rd classroom. There's a spot where we tell the kids to run to the fence, and then they kind of line up by the fence. But now we're gonna have an outdoor classroom built there, so when we send the kids there, they can sit on the outdoor classroom and kind of have that. And then I'm working with the DNR to do almost like an amphitheater farther out on the north side of the forest, just so we can get kids to go beyond our 1st and 2nd classroom. So we do have some out there. A lot of our younger kids spend a lot of time at the first classroom, and then the older kids really are first or second classroom.
So kind of twofold, there's classroom instruction out there now, and then it's also used, you mentioned PBIS, so as a reward or part of that is embedded in there as well.
Yeah, it could be a reward, it could be a variety of different things, but we have a new 4th grade teacher this year, and he goes out every week and they do the math lesson out there every week religiously. And so the kids are so ingrained to know what they need to do. They get their vests on, they get out there, and they get back in time within an hour and they've done their math. So the creativity and the way that kids can be in nature, it doesn't just have to be playing. It really can be academic. And like Donnie was talking about, it does probably make their head hurt sometimes, some of the things that we want them to learn. But even just having them learn some of those things in nature, it makes a huge impact, as you can tell from some of the brain research too.
Right, and I like what you said, I have a refreshed brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Anyone else? Well, I'd just like to thank you guys. You guys did a great job coming out, advocating for your school, and I just love the approach you're taking of not only saying, I think this would be good, but kind of putting the numbers together to show where it's working and how it's working, and really using that to make sure that it adds to our academic success, which it really seems like it's doing. So thanks for coming out. Yeah, and you guys don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting. All right, positive happenings. Anybody have a positive happening you'd like to talk about? Dr. Christensen?
Yeah, I have a few positive happenings. On December 13th, I went to the Scandia PTO meeting, and we're talking about the Dala Gala event we're having for parents on February 2nd. We used to do that in the before time, so that's fun to get the parents back together in a social way along with the teachers. I went to a wrestling match on December 14th. December 19th, I went to the boys varsity and JV and varsity basketball game in Stillwater, which was our employee appreciation night, so that was fun. Mr. Sauer was doing the announcing, and Mrs. Sauer did a wonderful the song they sing. I'm like, thank you. She sang before the game. That was wonderful. And on December 28th, I know member Tyson and member Corcoran did this a different time too, but I volunteered at the boys hockey game, which was new for me. We don't do hockey, but it was really fun. And I just want to give a shout out to all of our booster clubs and our associations, because oh my goodness, those ladies running the Hockey Booster Association are really on top of it, and we're talking about all the things they do behind the scenes. I know, wrestling, football, lacrosse, swim, so many of our parents do things behind the scenes to help their kids' sports. They raise money, you see them at Cub Baggy and those kinds of things, and they raise money to help pay for extra coaches and those kinds of things. So thank you to all of our volunteers to do that. They really help our sports to run. So thank you.
Well, I did help out at the arena, and that was so fun, and all the machines and all the beautiful equipment they have there, after working many years with not the greatest machinery, and the facilities working in there was a dream. I had even had a register with cat. I was like really impressed. It was very nice. So it's amazing when you have good equipment how things can run really well. So I was very impressed, and it was a lot of fun. I was with Member Tyson, and I did for the alumni game for basketball. My son played. There was 5 teams. Most teams they've had in about the last 2-3 years since Coach Cremsino has resigned and Kyle McDonald took over. It kind of was starting to rebuild again. So 5 teams and 50 guys from all different age groups. It was really fun. We had a lot of fun. We played for a few hours, and a lot of them were pretty tired at the end. It was a lot of running for them, but good time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to being volunteering. It's a lot of fun.
I have a couple things to mention. I went to the Space Camp Bake Sale fundraiser, and which we can thank Principal Matson and Lori Jolson for a lot of work. But we all know that aerospace and engineering is very popular in science, so we're really lucky to have this program. And they will be going to Alabama in May of 2024. And they're going to be immersed in a space environment with simulator training, mock missions, and so it's very exciting. Those parents and the kids working at Bake Sam are just thrilled to be in that program and raising funds. I just want to mention another thing. I've been working with SEAC, the Special Advisory Committee, and they were coming up on this event. I think I showed you this flyer before. They're having a transition event January 16th, and it's been a small group working, and Miss Kelly, and they've just done an excellent job, so dedicated to their mission. So it's a transition from elementary to middle school. It's going to be hosted at FLOMS. There'll be a panel discussion, tours for the parents to come with their students. The elementary case managers are invited, so it's going to be a great night, and there's going to be refreshments. So they're hoping it's well attended as well as I am. So I think that's it for me. Thank you.
If not, we'll go to reports, anything for workshops and conferences?
I have one thing to mention. I think at your seat, Joy was kind enough to put this information from C's general membership meeting that I attended. So I want, oh, it's the last page in your packet. If you want to look at it later, you can. I just thought this was good information for everybody to read. C has been going through some changes, rebranding and reimaging of their organization. They've had an ad hoc committee that's been looking at different things that they want to do. They've lost some membership, so what comes with that is, their finances, and they're looking to really do more recruitment. So they did a new org chart, or an organization chart, where they're going to have a half-time executive director that just works on recruitment and gets out to the districts that are part of their membership. And then they're also hiring someone to do all the lobbying. This comes as Brad Lindell is retiring. After many years, he's retiring, and he basically wore a lot of hats. So he did, everything from all the lobbying to. So they're trying to get it very organized, and the big thing is they're picking a new name that you can read under 6 on the second page. It's going to be changed to School Advocates for Fair Funding. So part of C's mission was always equalization, and that will still be a big focus for them, but you can read that in your spare time, and you'll know what's going on and when you see that name change. And that concludes my report. I'm sorry.
And C has always done a great job of advocating for school districts like ours that do not have a lot of large businesses that are bringing in a lot of property taxes.
Right.
Most of the property burden, or the property tax burden goes on homeowners, and so it's, the school districts like ours are at a disadvantage, but there's a number of us that kind of collect those schools and advocate together, so it's a great organization.
And they're very well known for that pizza video, for explaining situations of school districts in our.
All right, 9/16, nice.
No report, their meeting is January 17th this month.
Okay. Buildings and grounds, member Corcoran or Andrews?
Yes, I attended the Building and Grounds Committee meeting on December 21st. We had another presentation about the building and the 24-25 long-term facilities maintenance agreement in 25-26. Went over the sort of 3-year plan and the 3-phase bid process. It was a really good presentation that they provided us, and then we talked a little bit about looking possibly at single-stall bathrooms in the future, and also we got a report that the Bobcat is going to be needed to be replaced. We cannot be repairing it much longer, and that's a critical piece of machinery, so I'll be looking at something soon in the future to replace that. So I have.
Thank you. City of Forest Lake, member Christensen.
Yeah, the meetings on December 18th and 26th, I believe, were canceled. Their next meeting is Monday, January 8th. So.
Thank you. Communications, member Christensen?
Yeah, I can talk about that. Member Rayfield and myself attended the Communications Committee meeting on December 21st. Mostly we talked about Forest Lake area schools, customer service and communication standards. Director McKinnon and Tracy Angelo were there to present what they put together as customer service standards. And Tracy is right over here, and I just want to give her a shout out because she is a huge cheerleader for our district. And when she answers the phone and greets everybody, she does so with gusto, and she's really wonderful, and we're lucky to have her. She talks about how many phone calls she gets because she has kind of the main line, and they plan it that way specifically so then she can transfer and reach out as she needs to. So, thank you.
And then, community ed, do you have?
There was not a meeting in December. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Curriculum instruction equity, I can do a report on that. Oops, hang on. So what we talked about was the middle school does what they call a needs assessment, where they have a survey that the kids can opt out of course, but it asks them different aspects of their life that may have an effect on their academic success. And then they use that to kind of intervene or try to adjust things to help those kids that are struggling, help them have good academic outcomes. All right, Finance Committee, Member Corcoran, Hayward, or Peterson?
I'll take that. Well, we had Jackie visit us from MMKR. She went over the audit for last year, and it's on the agenda tonight to be approved. Then we also talked about the budget status for fiscal year '24. We also discussed the change in meeting times, and it seemed like most of the people in the room were pretty much on board with the change. They were excited about the earlier start for the meetings.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Policy Committee, Member Rayline or Member Tyson?
Yeah, I'll cover that. It's always an easy one to report on. We had a pretty busy month, made through a number of policies. We'll address the specific details at the end of the meeting tonight. That concludes my report. Unless Member Tyson has anything to add.
Sounds perfect. Thank you.
All right, and that was policy? Yes. Okay. Staff welfare, Member Christensen, Peterson, or Tyson?
I could do that, talk on that. We talked about mental health day treatment program and the possibility of having one in our own district. We also talked about Forest Lake City partnerships, and we partner with the parks and with the mowing. It's just a great partnership to swap some of those duties. We also talked about school calendars, and that is all we have time for. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you. Superintendent's report, Dr. Massey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. January, as you know, is School Board Appreciation Month. So for each of you, on behalf of the school district and the community, thank you for signing up and serving on a monthly basis. Often an unsung, unnoticed, unrecognized, maybe in some ways, position in our district, but nonetheless, never more critical to the work we're doing in our district. So the framework, the foundation, the vision that you set for us is critically important, and we are grateful for your service. Thank you. Along with that is the MSBA coordinated annual seminar and workshop that will begin next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I know a number of you are signed up for that, and looking forward to seeing you down there. They have a great agenda with great speakers scheduled for their annual conference. Many of you are familiar with the Suburban East Music Festival. That is an event where the top choir, orchestra, and bands from each of our conference schools come together at a rotating host school on the first Monday of February every year. Well, it's our turn to host, and we're hosting this year, the first Monday in February. A slight change to their schedule. The all conference choir, band, and orchestra concert is not the evening of the day event, but they'll have that on Sunday. So the all-conference concert will be on Sunday, February 4th, I believe is the actual date. The reception in the high school media center for clinicians, music staff, and school boards. So I would encourage you to mark your calendar and plan to attend. Is Saturday, Sunday the 4th at 3:30 in the high school media center with a concert at 5:30. So please mark your calendar. It is a phenomenal event, a great way to enjoy the talents and celebrate the talents of our music kids in the district. January is also Human Trafficking Month, and along with that recognition in the month and attention paid to this critical issue, we are hosting Sounds of Freedom movie around human trafficking, and that is scheduled for January 28th in partnership with the Forest Lake Lions and the Forest Lake Rotary, and that will be showing at 4:30 p.m. in partnership with Washington County as well, who will bring their staff from the Human Trafficking Task Force, who will provide a presentation and an update on human trafficking in our community, and field question and answer from the community, parents, and students who attend the event. So there as well, please mark your calendars and plan to join us on January 28th. I've got more detail in my weekend update coming out to you on that. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mix. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that people would like to pull from the consent?
I think full items 8.4 and 8.6, please.
8.4 and 8.6.
Yes.
Anyone else? If not, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda 1 through 3, 5, and 7 through 13?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, agenda item 8 for licensed personnel.
Yeah, I would like to strike the open minds line items. I should say I would move to strike the open minds line items.
Second.
Okay, so let's give people a chance to look at that.
Maybe Superintendent Massey could explain what open minds is.
I certainly can, Mr. Chair. Open Minds is a middle school club for students in 7th and 8th grade. Began back in 2018, 2019 as an and a student-driven interest club for bringing students together to discuss ideas from issues that are of concern to them, school-related issues, more broad issues, but just a place for kids to gather and discuss important issues together. It has morphed and evolved to cover a lot of different topics that students bring, from bullying to school, other issues in school, including GLBTQ issues, as I said, bullying issues, relationship issues, issues growing up as a teenager, and getting support around those kind of issues in school, and finding support, kinship around those kind of topics as well. So again, that's been a group that's been in place for a number of years. Currently, we have 8 students registered by way of parent consent for the group.
Thank you. So we currently have a motion on the floor to approve the licensed personnel, but to strike the Open Minds Club. Any comments?
I just have a question, like, the staff that's being approved, are they psychologists or what, look like Michelle Zimmer?
Yeah, Michelle Zimmer is a school psychologist, and then
Rosemary Lemons?
Lemons is a science teacher.
Okay, so they're the ones that are.
They're educators in our district, one
So
of
they're
which
just
is a school
facilitating
psychologist.
the group, like helping facilitate the group?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Member Peterson?
Yeah, I guess guess I would like to hear Member Rebline and Member Hagelin's apprehension to the Open Minds Club. You guys made the motion, seconded it to end it, so.
I made a motion, so I'm happy to speak to that. My primary concern with the Open Minds Club is that, my understanding is that it is, as Dr. Massey had reported, that it is more primarily into an LGBTQIA plus support group. And I question the appropriateness of such a group for students at the ages between 11 or 12 when they enter middle school. So I just don't feel that it's something that we should be utilizing district funds to support. As Member Corcoran mentioned, one of our counselors is part of this group. Students do have access to counselors. Member Raphael mentioned the survey that the students take. This is not cutting off access to support for students who need it. This is, in my view, not a good use of district funds.
Go ahead.
I would like to echo Member Evelyn's thoughts. These are already paid staff people, and to contributing additional general fund use to pay for these clubs, on top of that, it seems very likely attended. And I am a little bit concerned too about, as Member Evelyn mentioned, that it's heavily focused, or as Superintendent Mass mentioned, it's heavily focused on LGBTQI, how much parent notice is given if one of their sons or daughters or dependents is attending that club, which they wouldn't normally want them to. So I have some concerns regarding that.
Well, I just wanted to say, it's my understanding these are volunteer clubs, and they're after school hours, or these, some of the clubs that are on, I know like on Thursday nights when we have the activities bus, that there are different clubs, and did you say in your comments, parent, what, did you say something about parents?
Students need to sign up for the club,
Yeah.
and they can sign up by way, need to sign up by way of their parents.
Right.
And it is run on Thursdays, so that it aligns with transportation and the activity.
So it's not during the school day, it's an extra thing that kids can choose to participate with parental or guardians that are knowing about it. I mean, I would disagree with you, Member Rebline, to say that, you know, that we're not cutting off support for students that may need it. I mean, if they want to do this, and if they feel that it's beneficial to them, and we have the correct staff in place, it seems like a positive, welcoming thing to offer people.
I just want to add that it appears you guys don't do your homework, because these are obviously things you could have asked beforehand of fellow board members. You could have talked to Superintendent Massey about what this club is about. I think it started when my daughter, who's 30, we had it. So I'm saying we probably had it for 15 years, or
But
12.
this specific club came on board in 17, 18, or 18, 19.
So how many years is that? With success, we've had this program, because I've talked to parents of students that have attended this Open Minds Club. So I think, you know, we have students that are marginalized, and this is one thing that they really can go to and feel at home. So you're thinking of pulling that when you're not even sure what it is. You're coming in here with assumptions, and you're coming in here with springing surprises on us. So I am not for this at all, and I agree with Member Christensen that this is something that they welcome and that they need to do.
Yeah, so if I understand correctly, Dr. Massey, while the students who participate currently go there and discuss LGBTQAI issues, any student's welcome to that club, and any student can speak on any topic of concern for them, right?
That's correct.
So really, it's just the fact that there's LGBTQAI plus students there that gives you both concern. Understood?
Member Peterson is incorrect. It's the fact that we're paying additional funds for staff members that we're already paying. And Member Tyson is also incorrect, because I did reach out to Superintendent Massey prior to the meeting. There was not a lot of turnout, and I asked him to explain to the group because I want here that make sure that the entire group had the same information that I was given. And my concerns are based around the funding of, the additional funding of staff members we already pay, and all of our students have access to counselors on a daily basis.
And I would just say, for my part, I think that 7th and 8th grade, if you're a parent and your student is starting to come to the understanding that they might be in the LGBTQ community, that's a lot for a family, right? That's something that the parents are working out, the kids are working out, there's a lot of scripts that have to be rewritten when that starts to come out, right? That a student's struggling with that, parents are struggling with that, the kids and parents figure it out, right? They do the talking they need, and sometimes it's a journey, right? But that's not for us as board members to get in the way of those parents and those kids figuring that out. Our job is to give kids a good education, and if parents and the kids figure it out, and they can come to the school and have a group where the kids can take the issues that they're having with fitting it into the environment at the school or figuring out other issues related to that, I'm all for it because it helps academically, right? If you feel like you belong in the school, you're gonna do better. And our LGBTQ kids, they're Rangers. There's another name for them, and that name is students. And so when you're a student, you come to the school, we're gonna do what we can to help you feel like you belong, help you feel like we support you, and we're gonna do everything we can to support you in as a team with the parents and the kids figuring this out as well. So I'm gonna vote against this. I think I don't agree with that.
Well, also, Superintendent Massey said it's other things too. It's like people with problems at home. I mean, 7th and 8th grade is a very hard time in a child's life. Both, I mean, 8th grade was extremely hard for all my boys, and to have somewhere that they feel safe to talk about problems that maybe they can't, maybe they don't have an opportunity to go to a psychologist or go during the school day, and my son didn't want to, so this would have been an option after school to support those kids that really need help. So I'm definitely in favor of keeping this club. I feel like that's hard years, 7th and 8th grade. Try to figure out who they are as people, and just have that extra support from staff and people that think like them. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I think, sure there's access during the day, but with the level of mental health needs in school today, to say we want to take that away is absolutely ridiculous. And with that, I'm going to vote against this motion.
Right. No further discussion. All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
I just want to clarify, do we have a motion on the table to approve striking?
Yes. Right. So if this fails, then the motion will probably come up. All right, so we've had 2 aye votes, all opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Right, and the motion is not approved. So do we have a motion to approve 8-4 as written?
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. All right. 8-6, appointment of school district legal counsel.
Yeah, I don't have a specific motion at this time. I just have concerns about one of the firms named on the list. Over the course of 2023, I can think of one occasion where an opinion was requested multiple times and never provided, and another occasion where a provided opinion did not address all of the concerns.
Hold on. So, I'm going to put a motion on the table, so I move to approve the school district legal counsel. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so now we can discuss.
So I have concerns about one of the firms named on the list. Over the course of 2023, I can think of one occasion where an opinion was requested multiple times and never provided, and another occasion where a provided opinion did not address all of the concerns, and follow-up questions went unanswered. For that reason, I'm not sure how to proceed here, and I would welcome additional insight on the aforementioned concerns by members in the room here that may have more insight on that.
So I have a question, is this a personal request you had, just solely you had?
No.
Okay,
No, multiple members had requests of.
multiple members of our board, right here?
Correct.
Okay. And who are those multiple members, just out of curiosity?
In the most public of the two incidents, it resulted in a broken quorum and an emergency meeting because members Craigland and I were unable to get a legal opinion that we felt was necessary to proceed with court action.
That was the meeting you walked out of?
Yes.
Which you're referring to?
Yes. Yes, and my concern is my concern reflective of the law firm that we were utilizing, or was something else in play?
Why don't you just say it, Kurt? You're making an accusation against me, I think that's blatantly obvious, so why don't you just say it? There was no request for a written opinion until we were in the meeting, and I held a meeting with Ratliff Law to get their opinion. I relayed that opinion here in the meeting, and there was no issue with the opinion. It didn't align with your personal beliefs, but that doesn't make it an inappropriate opinion from the law firm. We did not violate the law. The state, you're talking about the A&I funding, I'm going back to that. The state could choose to not approve it, but we did not violate the law by submitting it, and Ratliff Law was perfectly clear on that. I relayed that information to the entire board during the meeting, and we moved forward as such. As far as the second opinion goes, we received the opinion in writing. It addressed the concerns until you went off on a whole tangent about how you know more than the attorney about privacy law, and I just did not choose to move forward spending district resources in order to get additional opinions that weren't necessarily relevant to what was germane to the topic at hand.
Can I address that? First, I think there were a couple of false statements there, and I'd like to correct those in the record. There were multiple requests made in writing through email. Our email is publicly accessible, and the information request will show that. The request was made well in advance of the meeting. The request was also very, very specific in nature, so I don't think there was any ambiguity there. On the second topic, I never claimed to know more than a privacy attorney. I claim to have concerns about the completeness of the opinion and had follow-up questions. I do feel it was inappropriate to restrict a board member's access from asking legal questions, but that doesn't matter at another time. With that said, my concern has been addressed.
Yeah, all right, and I just gotta say, we're talking about appointment of a legal counsel. This is not, that's the motion on the table. If something you're saying is related to why we should or should not do that, that's okay, but we don't want to be too far.
The question at hand with the opinion from legal counsel, as Member Evelyn alluded to, several requests were made in email and could be obtained through a FOIA request to, at the time, Sheriff Peterson to get the legal opinion concerning my A&I concerns. I was not just willing to take an answer at face value. I wanted to see the opinion from legal counsel. And had I been given that, been able to read that opinion and put my mind at ease that my indemnity was not in jeopardy, I would not have broken the form that night. I would have simply voted against the United plan. So that is my concern with the legal firm.
Okay.
Can I just ask a clarifying question? I'm not sure if this is the right, but so in order to use, the school district funds, properly and be strategic about how we use them, am I understanding that just the chair or the superintendent or a designee contacts the lawyer, because I assume the lawyer's quite expensive, so
That
I,
will come up later.
okay, so I
Yeah.
shouldn't just be emailing them.
No, it's not appropriate.
Currently, until we address it at this meeting, that is the process, it's the chair, the vice chair, or the superintendent, or his designee, but that we will address that going forward later this meeting.
All right, any other discussion? And, okay, so we've got a motion on the table to appoint the school district legal counsel as written. And the one comment I would make is that sometimes the legal opinion you don't like is the one best one. All right, and with that, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay. All right, so, 26 is approved, and now we're on to the approval of the routine actions and action items. So we've got a lot here, and so I'm gonna ask if we can go through 1 through 8, and then we'll have a motion to approve after that. Is everybody okay with that? All right. Fine, those. Yeah, 9 1 through 8. Okay. All right, so, 9 1, appoint a board representative, and I'll have Joy reread them after we're done.
Perfect.
9 1, appoint a board representative to the MSBA. It's currently Julie Parker. Anybody interested?
I'll stay. Someone else wants to do it.
I would be interested if, something that you was going to have.
And Mr. Chair, we can have up to 3 on any of these.
Yeah, oh, yeah, so I think I'm on it, but that's great, Kurt, member, Raylan, you can, that's perfect.
Okay, member Rayline and member Corbin. All right. Appoint a board representative to Minnesota State High School League. Currently, member Corcoran and member Hayden.
I'd like to stay.
I'd like to jump on if I can with the other 2 members.
Okay. And we can have 2?
Yeah.
Perfect. 9 3, appoint board representative to Schools for Equity in Education.
I plan to stay on that. I can go off if someone else wants it.
Okay. Anybody interested? If nobody's interested, then I'll do that as well. Yeah. No, I think it's they have really interesting meetings. They have speakers that come in from the legislature and what they have in the past.
Transition going on.
And member Tyson, you're also interested, right?
Yep, I'm staying on it.
Okay. 9 4, appoint board liaison to the city of Forest Lake.
I'd like to stay.
Okay,
I'm probably gonna go to open one.
perfect.
We can tag team or we can.
So member Tyson and member Christensen.
Perfect.
9 5, appoint board representative to Special Education Advisory Council. Currently member Rayline and member Tyson.
I'm gonna stay.
I'd like to try that. Okay, member Peterson and member Tyson.
And there's member.
Yeah.
I'm okay to pass on the comment, member Peterson.
All right. 9 6, appoint board representative to the Community Education Advisory Council.
I'd like to stay on.
I think I will too.
It's a fun group.
And, yeah, Tracy always has cookies. Always
Wait a
appreciated. Okay, appoint board representative to Agriculture and Education Advisory Board, currently member Hagelin and member Peterson.
To stay on that.
I'll stay unless somebody else wants to do that.
Okay. And, all right. And 9 8, appoint board representative to EMS HC Advisory Board, currently member Peterson.
I'll stay
Does that board still meet
in the morning,
like 7 AM?
something like that, yeah. 8 a.m. maybe.
Once a quarter.
Once a
Yeah.
quarter? Okay.
All right, member Peterson. All right, Joy, could you read back the?
Yes. Board representative to MSBA, members Corcoran and Rayline. Board representative to the Minnesota State High School League, Members Corcoran, Rabelais, and Haglund. Board Representatives of Schools for Equity in Education, Members Tyson and Raphael. Board Liaison to the City of Forest Lake, Members Christensen and Tyson. Board Representative to Special Education Advisory Council, Members Tyson and Peterson. Board Representative to Community Education Advisory Council, Members Christensen and Raphael. Board Representative to Agriculture Education Advisory Board, Members Peterson and Haglund. Board Representative to EMS/HC Advisory Board, Member Peterson.
All right, any discussion? If not, do we have a motion to?
Member Chair, I have a suggestion here. Could we include 9 out of 9 in this motion as well, since we're not gonna be making a change there?
All right, Member Tyson's finishing at, is in a term, and does a great job, and so he's in your place.
I'll make a motion to approve 9-1 to 9-9.
They know it's 7.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Very good. All right. 9 and 10, appoint district superintendent or designee and school board chair and vice chair to engage legal counsel.
Yeah, as stated there, the, through board action, the chair and vice chair are identified as designees to speak with, coordinate with, and consult with legal counsel along with superintendent or designee. The administration would recommend that we continue with that structure.
We have motion to approve.
Move to approve 9-10.
Second?
Discussion?
I think I've made it pretty clear what my concerns with this one is. Although I feel compelled to go into the new year, trusting our new board chair that the proper engagement with legal counsel will be made available to all members. And with that, I'll be voting to approve.
Any other discussion? There's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. 11, designate official school newspaper.
We submit to the local papers an opportunity to bid for our public postings, meeting notices, minutes. We received the one bid from the Forest Lake Times, and that bid is enclosed in your board packet. Administration would recommend that we continue with the Forest Lake Times. And I think a recognition of your outstanding coverage in other parts of the paper and throughout the paper is well deserved.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So
Second?
Any discussion? I'd also like to thank the Times, they do a fantastic job of covering the district, and good bad, so I appreciate that. If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, 9-12, set school board salaries.
I'd like to make a motion that we increase the school board salary by 2%, which is in line with staff increases for the year.
Second?
Discussion? Member Peterson?
Yeah, I think I said it in the motion, but I think, when I first got on the board, school board salaries fell behind significantly. They hadn't been addressed in a decade, and when we had to increase them to even catch up to the sort of where everybody else was, it was a significant increase. And I think that, staying current with what we're offering staff on an annual basis just makes sense. So,
Thank you. All right, any further, go ahead.
I'd like to move to table this until we settle the teacher's contract.
Second.
So we have a motion to table, which means we put it off. Yeah, is that 3/4?
No, that's a simple majority.
Okay, so we have a motion to table, maybe. Okay, so all in favor of putting off this motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay.
Nay.
Okay, so, any further discussion on this motion?
I would like to add that, you know, when you fall behind and then you have to increase, we've been doing that for a while, or no increase, and then, so this 2% staying in this trajectory, what we've been doing, I think we just need to stay the path, and that's what the teachers are getting, so. It's all good.
And I would just add for my part, I mean, it's never politically comfortable to raise your own salary, right? But we're in that position, and, but I don't think you're doing the district any favor by leaving it. We had done that in the past where we left it low, and then all of a sudden it was so far behind everybody else. And you're not really doing anybody any favors by not having the courage to just increase it by a little bit each time, right? As long as it's reasonable, right? And we don't wanna be jumping ahead of other, you know, our other settlements or anything like that, for sure. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, a point of clarification, we're still in negotiations with Free. There's been no settlement, and there's no, we're not making any, settlement agreement here. So we're still in open negotiations, I just wanted to.
Yeah, well said, thank you. All right, any further discussion?
I would just like to point out, Mr. Chair, that we're talking about, what, $8 here, I think? Just under $8.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Point of order. Roll call, please. Sure. Member clerk, would you please take a roll call?
Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Christensen votes aye. Member Rayfield?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Haglund?
No.
Member Corcoran?
Aye.
And Member Beverly?
No. All right, the motion passes. Thank you, new clerk.
Good job.
Member Chair, if I may, under 912, I would also move that we do not change the stipends for the president, vice president, clerk, and treasurer.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second?
Any discussion?
We addressed this, the board salaries and increase, but we didn't address the stipends, and we have to do that.
Yeah.
So when I made the original motion, I didn't include the stipends, so we'll make a second motion to include the stipend.
Okay, and we have a second, any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll move, member clerk, would you like to take a roll call?
I'm gonna start three. Member Christensen votes aye. Member Rayfield?
Aye.
Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Haglund? Member Corcoran?
Aye.
Member Revelin?
Aye.
And Member Tyson?
Aye.
Motion approved. Thank you, Member Peterson, for doing that.
Yeah.
All right, our school board committee assignments. At 5 o'clock, I've got member at Buildings and Grounds, member Peterson and member Hagelin. Curriculum, Instruction and Equity, I have member Tyson and member Rayline. Staff Welfare, member Corcoran, member Christensen, and member Rayfield. At 6 o'clock, Communications, I've got member Peterson and member Hagelin. Finance, Tyson, member Tyson, member Corcoran, and member Rayfield. Policy, member Christensen, and member Rayline. And I've gotten that information to Joy, and she'll put all this together for us.
Okay, can I ask a question? We did, these committees a couple of months ago, or are we doing it now?
Committees are, it's the liaison positions, sorry.
Okay.
Make a motion on that? Do we need a
Yes,
motion?
yeah, we need.
All right, I'll move to accept 913 as read.
Second.
All right, and any discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. All right,
Make a motion for 5-minute recess.
all right, second, second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, all right, 5 minutes, guys. Okay, before we get into our action items, roll call. Okay, member clerk, please do a roll call.
Member Rayfield?
Present.
Member Christensen is here, member Tyson?
Here.
Member Redline?
Here.
Member Corcoran? Here. Member Hageman?
Here.
Member Peterson?
Here.
All here.
Point of order, I'd like to make an emergency amendment to the agenda. I would move that we add the approval of school board member employment to item 11.3.
Second.
Any discussion? I would add that member Rayline saw this omission and came to Dr. Massey and I and explained it, and it seems like a reasonable addition, so we'll add it to 11.3 new business. And, any discussion?
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit further. Minnesota state statute actually requires that we approve school board member employment on an annual basis. There is some, I guess I'll refer to it as ambiguity, although it's not really ambiguity, it's pretty clear about an earnings limit that I don't believe we're going to exceed in this case. But in the past, our legal counsel has advised us just to remove any question and to handle this at the board every year. So it's something we'll want to have on our radar every start of the fiscal year moving forward. But I think it's something that we can correct right now this evening if we have it to the agenda.
Maybe if we do that, because I was in that position too, so. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that forward.
And so this is a motion to approve that to the agenda. We'll come up, get it.
Okay.
Any further discussion? If there's none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you. All right, action items. One, accept 2022-2023 financial audit.
Thank you. Yeah, I will turn over to Business Director, Chrissy Renberg and our CPA and auditing.
Thank you, Dr. Massey and school board members. Wanting to, at our annual basis, school boards are required to accept the audit, and school districts go through the audit process. As the finance committee hears, on a monthly basis, the process is lengthy, starting in June with our first meeting all the way through September, a week in September, a week in October, and then we finish up in November. In December, we had the opportunity to present the information to our finance committee and have them review it before the final drafts were created. And so we have here tonight Jackie Eagle from MMKR, which is our audit firm, to review those results with you, and then afterwards we'll be able to answer any questions. Jackie?
Well, good evening, and thank you for having me tonight. As Krista said, my name is Jackie Eagle, and I am the partner in charge of the audit. I'm here to present the audit results for the year ended June 30th, 2023. We did meet with the finance committee meeting in December and went through the reports in detail, so tonight will be a higher level presentation of these audit results. This first slide here summarizes my role as an auditor. As an auditor, I am here to issue an opinion on the district's basic financial statement. One item to note for the current year, similar to prior year, we are engaged to issue an opinion on the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. With the significant increase in the pandemic-related federal funding in recent years, the Minnesota Department of Education has extended the due date for these single audit submissions to March 31st, 2024. So we will be issuing separate audit reports related with this federal audit at a later date, and that will include that SEFA, that schedule of expenditures of federal awards, and any audit opinions over the internal controls and compliance related with the federal audit. As part of the audit, we also review the internal controls and we test compliance over that financial statement audit and with the Minnesota state laws and regulations. So each year, the Office of the State Auditor releases what's known as the Legal Compliance Manual, which has a specific statutes that as auditors we're required to test for. So we're not necessarily testing every one, it's the ones that the Office of the State Auditor releases in a manual each year. To summarize the audit results over that district financial audit, they issued unmodified or clean opinions on the basic financial statements. If you are looking at your audit report, you're going to notice in the current year the district did implement a new audit standard. It was GASB statement number 96, which is known as the subscription-based IT arrangement standard, also known as SABITA. So in the current year, it did change some reporting in your financial statements. Any local governments that have subscriptions in excess of 1 year are now required to report subscription assets and liabilities only on those entity-wide financial statements though, so it doesn't change your actual fund financial statement reporting. This is just on that entity-wide financial statement, similar to the lease standard that was implemented last year. For the internal controls and compliance reports over that financial audit, we had no material weaknesses to report and no non-compliance to report. For the audit opinion over that Minnesota legal compliance, also had no instances of non-compliance to report here. So overall, all clean audit opinions for the 2023 audit year. The next several slides I'll go through here now focuses on summarizes some of the financial results of the district audit. This first slide here shows the general fund financial position for the past 10 years, showing that cash balance, that unrestricted fund balance, and the expenditures in the general fund. For the 2023 year, the cash and investment balance ended the year at about $9.3 million. It was an increase of about $870,000 from the prior year. When you're looking at your total general fund balance, you ended the year at approximately $360,000. It's a decrease of about $1.4 million from the prior year, and that's compared to a $1.7 million decrease that was projected in the budget. This next table here summarizes the components of the fund balance of the general fund for the past 5 years. So it gives it by those components, that non-spendable fund balance, the dollars that are restricted, assigned, or unassigned. Overall, like I said, in that 2023 year, the total fund balance in that general fund is about $360,000. You're looking at various components. There's about $200,000 in prepaid items at year-end. That's that non-spendable fund balance, items that have been prepaid as of June 30th. The restricted fund balance has a deficit of about $2.5 million. A lot of that is in the long-term facilities maintenance deficit. It's the timing of the projects. As projects start, the funding comes in the following fiscal year. So the district does have future levy authority for those dollars. There's about $195,000 in assigned fund balance. Those are dollars that are set aside, assigned for future severance obligations. And that leaves an unassigned fund balance of just under $2.5 million, which represents about 2.8% of the general fund expenditures. This next graph here summarizes the adjusted EDM and the pupil units served by the district for the past 10 years. The district closed their books using an estimated ADM of about 5,780. It's a decrease of about 86 ADM, or about 1.5% from the prior year. This next graph here summarizes the general fund revenue by category. Shows the current year actual compared to budget, as well as compared to the prior year actual. So total general fund revenues were about $85.9 million in the 2023 year. They came in about $2.1 million over the final budget. When you're looking at that budget variance, there's a couple areas. Federal sources came in over budget. That was mainly just due to more title funding and special education funding that was recognized in the current year compared to what was included in the budget. And you also saw your other local sources come in over budget, and that was mainly conservative budgeting for that investment earnings area, and also other charges and fees, which can be difficult to budget from one year to the next. Overall, looking at general fund revenues current year compared to prior year, it's pretty flat, increase of about $35,000 in total. I'll just comment on a couple swings, even though it didn't change much in total. You saw your state sources go up about $1.6 million. A lot of that was the increase in the basic formula allowance, the funding from the state of Minnesota, as well as you saw some improved funding in that special education area. And then this was offset by your federal sources were down about $1.5 million, and that's the timing of those pandemic-related grants and how much you're spending from one year to the next. So there was fewer pandemic-related grants spent in 2023 compared to 2022. This next slide here summarizes similar results just of the general fund expenditures by the categories. Total general fund expenditures ended the year at about $89.3 million. They're about $2.9 million over the final budget. When you look at those budget variances, you saw your purchase services coming in over budget, mainly in tuition, transportation, and utility costs. And then capital expenditures were also over budget. And that was mainly due to some new bus leases in the current year that were not included in the budget. But there is an offsetting revenue also that gets recorded when you record these bus leases that were not included in the budget. So you saw that variance in both sides, the revenue and the expense. When you're looking at your general fund expenditures current year compared to prior year, they were pretty flat, a slight increase of about $162,000. A couple swings though, to point out your purchase services were going up. As I previously mentioned, tuition costs, transportation costs are going up. And that was offset by a decrease in the capital spending in 2023 due to the timing of some of the long-term facility maintenance projects. This next graph here summarizes a couple of the other operating funds of the district, specifically that food service special revenue fund and the community service special revenue fund. The food service fund ended the year with a decrease in fund balance of about $390,000. That was compared to a planned increase in the budget of about $37,000. Overall, if you're looking at this fund comparing it current year to prior year or to budget, you're going to see some variances, and that was due to a change in programming in the food service operations. So if you remember back to 2022, districts were all operating under what was known as the seamless summer option, where students were eating free meals that were reimbursed by the federal government at higher reimbursement rates. And in 2023, districts were back to operating under the National School Lunch Program and the School Breakfast Program, which is based on income eligibility, and the reimbursement rates are lower compared to the previous year. So you're seeing some change in the programming when you're comparing your financials from one year to the next. Overall, though, this fund ended the year with a fund balance of about $745,000. The Community Service Special Revenue Fund saw positive operations in the current year. The equity increased about $345,000. That was compared to a budgeted decrease of about $112,000. Overall, in this fund, the revenues were over budget, mainly in that tuition and fees area, with more program participation than was originally anticipated in the budget. But the fund ended the year with a fund balance of about $1.6 million. And the last slide I have here, this summarizes the district-wide financial statements. This is that second reporting layer in your financial report, where it includes all their full accrual statements, so it includes all your capital asset activity. It also includes any long-term liabilities that the district has. So that would be any bonds, any pension activity, any other post-employment activity. If you're looking at the top portion of that table, it starts with those fund balances of the governmental funds, which you're used to looking at and talking about, showing those various adjustments to get to what we call the net position. That bottom portion of the table shows those components of net position for the year. So if you're comparing current year to prior year, you're seeing that snapshot of your overall net position going up about $13 million in the current year. If you look at the top portion of that table, you're seeing all that is in that pension adjustment row. Comparative, if you look at the bottom portion, it's all lying in that unrestricted row. So what that all is that's the changes in those PERA and TRA pension liabilities and the related deferments that local governments are required to report on your entity-wide financial statements. And you're seeing these swing from one year to the next based on the funding position of those plans, also based on how the stock market does, that impacts those plans. And you're required to report, they have a separate audit, provide information to the district, and you're required to report those unfunded liabilities in these financials. So you're seeing an increase this year. Last year you saw a decrease. They're just swinging from year to year. And this change that you're seeing is consistent with what other local governments are seeing as well. So with that, I can open it up if there are any questions.
First, I'd like to congratulate Dr. Grady on such a clean audit. It's difficult to have any audit, and much less come up with no real findings. I'd also like to congratulate Director McKinnon on continued success in community ed. It's great to see that program continue to grow. The one question I have for you directly is, even though the audit was clean and everything, that we're following state guidelines and laws very well, is there anything concerning that you see in the audit that we should maybe pay some additional attention to as well?
think you can see as you look at the fund balance, I mentioned on the total fund balance in the general fund is at that 360,000. The unassigned is at the 2.5 million. There is some statewide data available in your audit report that's not on the slide that we normally show. But that is one area that as a district, to continue to monitor the fund balances, and specifically in that general fund.
Thank you.
And the self-insurance fund too. We talked about that in depth at the finance committee meeting, that the self-insurance fund is in a deficit position right now. The district does have a plan or is working on a plan to eliminate that deficit. So that's another area to be aware of. If that doesn't get eliminated, it could potentially need to have funds transferred over to help with that elimination.
Question. And it's so good to see the trends and all this comparative data. Thank you for putting them together. Did we experience what we would expect following COVID and pandemic as far as our financial outlook?
A specific fund, or in general, I'd say your food service fund is exactly what you're seeing everywhere else. You're seeing significant changes in funding, just because of the programming from one year to the next. Lots of districts, it was a lower reimbursement rate, so you did see some spend down in fund balances in your food service funds. The pandemic grants can fluctuate so much from district to district, but 2024, I believe, is the last year of spending district-wide, I should say, statewide in those pandemic-related grants.
Right, and what do we attribute the increase in the community service special revenue? Do you know?
The community service
Yes.
special revenue fund. Mainly revenues were over budget, I believe. Revenues were over budget about 360,000, just due to more participation than was initially anticipated in the budget.
So that's a really good thing. Great, thank you so much.
I just want to thank Chrissy and her team with all the change in staffing and everything you've had in the last year or so. That you guys pulled together and really did a great job, and children are on it. It's hard to see people try to learn new roles and step up and learn a lot, step up and really help you out. And having Jackie as our wonderful auditor every year really does help have consistency and just to get things done easier and have that trust. It really does mean something, so thank you.
Any other comments?
I'd just like to say, it's a good looking audit, and I'd like to say the finance department is doing things by the book, and that's what the audit showing that we're following the guidelines and following all the consequences that we should be, but as a board and a body, we need to be concerned about the departments as a role model. And we need to do whatever we can to start looking at all. Because that's, it's covered here, but it's not your job to tell us how to get it back out there, but we need to get it back out.
Right, any other comments? I'd just like to say again, just reiterate, thank you to you and your team, and cleaning audit like this just feels really nice, but it also lets the public know that we're not sloppy here. We take how the money is managed, how it's accounted for, how we take it very seriously, and because we want that money goes towards educating kids, and that's our primary issue. And so the fact that it's done in a consistent and transparent way that we can see through this audit is just icing on the cake. Really appreciate it. Good pass on thanks and all.
To that, I do have to take a moment to do a special shout out to Maria Pronto, who is our supervisor of accounting. She stepped in December actually into the role after working in the school district for over a decade, and so just a big shout out to Maria and the whole team. But she really stepped up and did a great job on that. So thank you guys. With that, administration recommends approval.
Do you have a motion to approve? So move.
Second?
Any further discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, can you please take a roll call?
Yes. Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Rayfield?
Aye.
Member Christensen votes aye. Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Redline?
Aye.
Member Corcoran?
Aye.
Member Haglund?
Aye.
All ayes.
Motion approved. 10-2 donations.
Yes, we have again some wonderful donations this month as always, so we have, $12,696.44 from the Blue Line Club for 2 boys hockey assistant coach salaries. We have $11,122.34 from the Full Court Club, for the boys, basketball coach payments. We have, $9,523.71 from the Dance Line Booster Club for dance line coach salaries. We have $400 from the Twin Cities Sports, I don't know if that's College Club, COLL period club, for the Forest Lake Area High School Special Olympics bowling team t-shirts. We have $70 from the CAF charities for the Lionel Lakes Elementary STEM School General Use, and the donation of a car from Steve and Amy Martins. They're donating their 2008 Dodge Avenger. So for a total of $33,812.49 plus goods, and I move that we accept these generous donations.
Second.
Discussion.
I always love to see the car donated. They put to good use in our program.
Amy and her husband, who Amy works at the high school. So, yeah.
Also like to just thank our booster groups. You know, the way they raise that money is not easy. It takes a lot of time, it's a lot of work, and every dollar is precious that they raise through butter braids or wreaths or all polar plunges or whatever. And then to see the big numbers like that, and where does it go? It goes towards coaching, which is a way of, and other things, but coaching is one of the primary things here. And that's just great for our kids. So thank you to all you parents who are doing that fundraising. I know it's hard. So with that, anything further? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. All right, retirements. So a motion to accept the retirements? Second. Any discussion?
I would just like to thank Rebecca Ketchum for 9 years of service, and Cynthia Reescraft, chemistry teacher at Forest Lake, for 27 years of service. 27 years is a long time, and I'm certain her talents will be missed. And thank them both for their service to our district.
Anything else? I would just like to say we've got such a great science program here, so it's a bit of a loss. So, all right, with that, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Resolution directing the superintendent and administration to make recommendations for reductions in positions, programs, and services, and reasons therefore for 2024-25.
As a routine and annual item, each winter, district administrators and principals have a series of meetings to review projected enrollment, teacher retirements, resignations, leaves of absences, programs and services, anticipated class sizes, staffing levels, and projected budget and finances for the next school year. To begin this process, administration asks the school board, needs the school board to adopt the following resolution that's included here before we begin our process of building staffing and the budget moving into the next school year. And with that, administration recommends approval.
Ready for a motion to approve things? So moved.
Second.
Discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved. 10.5, proposed continuance of the free and reduced luncheon policy 305.
This policy is now obsolete given the fact that meals are now provided breakfast and lunch provided free through state action. The administration recommends the discontinuance of this policy.
We have a motion to discontinue the free and reduced luncheon policy 305.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved. 6, transportation employee drug and alcohol testing policy 313.
All school district transportation employees whose positions require a commercial driver's license will be required to undergo drug and alcohol testing and cannabis testing in accordance with federal law and applicable changes you'll see in this policy are related to updates with reference to and relation to cannabis testing. With that, administration recommends
The motion to approve 10-6. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved. 10-7, drug-free workplace, drug-free school policy 435.
The purpose of this policy is to maintain a safe and healthy environment for employees and students by prohibiting the use of alcohol, toxic substances, and controlled substances without a physician's prescription. This policy is updated to include cannabis products, including provisions related to medical cannabis. And with that, administration recommends approval.
Is there a motion to approve 10-7? Second. Discussion? If no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved. 10-8, student medication policy 528.
The purpose of this policy is to set forth the provisions that must be followed when school district staff members administer non-emergency and emergency prescription medication to students at school. This policy does not address medications administered or directed to be administered by responding emergency personnel. For the purposes of this policy, prescription medication or prescribed drugs or medication refers to any medication whether a prescription is required to purchase it or not. Medication that may be purchased without a prescription is still subject to the terms of this policy and district procedures and may not be carried by nor dispensed by students except as expressly addressed in this policy. The change you'll see in this policy clarifies that prescription medication does not include medical cannabis. And with that adjustment and change, administration recommends approval.
All right, your motion to approve 10-8. So moved. Discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved. 10-9, student fees policy 607.
And the purpose of this policy is to fully implement the intent of the Minnesota Public School fee law. The policy committee has reviewed this policy, and at this time, they are not recommending any changes. The administration recommends approval.
A motion to approve 10-9.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Member Ayler?
The policy committee hasn't completed their work on this one yet, so I'm looking at that.
Second.
What was that?
I moved it, yeah. To send it back to the policy committee. There's a motion on the floor to move the policy. And it's still appropriate to move it to commit during the motion to approve.
So really what you're looking at, you seconded it, you're looking at sending it back to committee. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, so this originally came to the policy committee, to discuss the potential of removing the student parking fees at the high school. There's still a lot of evaluation and investigation required, before we make a recommendation on that front, so. I'm not sure how it got moved through committee and brought to the board at this point in time, since that work was still ongoing. With no changes, there's really no reason to approve.
So, I think that discussion was a long way out, and that was the discussion you brought.
Yes,
Was it on the agenda for the policy committee?
it wasn't,
Right?
it wasn't the policy committee, it was something that
But what you brought was the parking.
yes, I worked with the administration to make that recommendation.
So, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, Director Friedman is here, but I would suggest that we'll either commit it back to the policy committee or simply approve it and then pick it back up to the policy committee.
Okay. Do we have any further discussion on the motion to commit? If not, all in favor of the motion to commit and send it back to the policy committee, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
All right, so now we're back to the original motion to approve. Any further discussion? If recommendation to approve new high school course CIS Exploring the Teaching Profession, 1.
Good evening, Board, Dr. Maskey, President Raphael. This is the second reading of a new course that we'd like to offer at the high school. Every year, our high school, in partnership with Teaching and Learning, is scanning our course catalog and making sure that we are offering a list of different courses that meet the needs of our kids going through, our students going through the high school and getting ready for the career course. And in alignment with our district strategic plan in the area of excellence in career and college and future preparedness, they've identified a grant opportunity to partner with the University of Minnesota through a new CIS course focused on exploring, or titled Exploring the Teaching Profession 1. This would be a course that is in response to interest that we're seeing from our student body in exploring careers in education, even when they are with us as students. And so this would be a course that would carry dual credit, both the ability to have a high school graduation credit with us here in Forest Lake, and the potential to earn a credit that they can carry with them into college. This would be a course that we would be offering for the 24-25 school year, so students next year would be able to take this course. It would live within our human services career pathway area. So this is the second reading, and the administration would recommend approving this course.
All right, do you have any questions about the course before we debate? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions in this committee, just refreshing my memory here. This is being funded by a grant for 1 school years, correct?
It would be a grant for 2 school years, and then at that point thereafter, that grant is to help get the course within the round. And at that point thereafter, it would be consumed within our regular general registration.
Okay, and then the second question I had was, does this class satisfy any of the specific graduation requirements, or does it fall under that?
It would be an elective.
Thank you.
All right, do we have a motion? Question?
I understand this was funded for 2 years. Is there anything within this program that is going to be unfunded that we have to come out of general fund? Or does the grant cover everything inclusively of this program?
It would. If there were any text materials after the funding years, the first 2 years, then that would be something that we would need to carry the cost from our general fund. Other than that, though, the cost of the teacher would be absorbed within the student registration process. So students who would take this course, the monies that we receive from the state to fund their education would support the cost of that teacher.
So would we have to hire a new teacher for this role?
We would not. That's a very good question, Member Hagelin. The requirements to teach this course, many of our teachers at the high school would carry those requirements.
And if I remember correctly, we discussed the AP Science or Science course. The CIS course is not as widely accepted as the AP course, right?
It really depends on which college or university is that the credit is coming from. This is through the University of Minnesota, so it would be pretty readily accepted across other colleges.
So do you know what the impetus was for the grant originally? I mean, other than there's a huge teacher shortage?
Well, that being one of them, but we've heard for a long time from students who are interested in going into careers in education. We've had similar courses in the past, taught within our Family and Consumer Science department. We saw an opportunity here to allow students to gain dual credit, and through the University of Minnesota, a college that many of our students end up going to after graduating from Forest Lake, and a grant opportunity to bring resources into the school district as we launched this. So it was really, when we saw the advertised opportunity for a grant opportunity and responding to student interest, both students that come and talk to us and students who indicate an interest in this area through a tool called Zello, is when we responded and said, hey, this looks like something that we should really pay attention to.
Oh, that's excellent, and I think the dual credit just makes it even more amazing, so
high school course, CIS, and scoring teacher professional. Any further discussion?
I just wanna say it's an exciting course, and I'm curious to see how many students get updated and see how that grows.
We already have talented teachers on our faculty who were graduates of Forest Lake, and what an opportunity. We know that we've got future teachers that are walking our hallways as students. What an opportunity to give them a start.
It's exciting.
In light of the audit results and the discussion we just had there, I would like to amend the motion to approve the course through the duration of the grant, at which point in time the grant expires, administration comes back to the board to review whether or not it becomes a continuing course.
All right, so we have an amendment on the table stating that the course would expire after the 2-year grant. It expires, is that?
Yeah, and then the administration would just come back to determine whether or not we want to make it part of a full catalog and have it hit the general fund.
Mr. Chair, if I can just add a point of reference. If let's say we have 25 students take this course next year, 25 the next year, and if the course were to go away for some reason, those 25 kids will take some other course that will require the same FTE or teacher expense or demand that's already part of the high school staff. And if there are curricular, textbook, resource needs, in this course in year 3, there will be curriculum, instructional, textbook, resource needs in any other course. They would take the course. So we see it as cost neutral in the long term with respect to those kids taking other courses.
I also say if there wasn't enough interest, it'll eventually just not be off, right? And if there was another 25 or 30 students, so it kind of still away, it's not, so
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay.
We're not just not offering the course. It doesn't sit on our schedule.
Any further discussion on the amendment? I would just add that I think the amendment is heavy-handed. I think nickel and diming classes are what we do, right? As a high school, the thing that's great about our high school is the number of high-level classes like this. We're giving really something special to our kids when we use our money for those things. Icing on the cake. Somebody gave us a grant to get this class started. We can use that money for curricular stuff to get it going. But once we get that done, then it becomes a normal part of our school. If it's successful, it's not irrelevant, right? And so I would vote against the amendment. Any further discussion on the amendment?
I just like to agree with you, absolutely, classes are overdue, but we do have to remember that we do have limited resources. We are at a point in time where we have to be cognizant of what our general fund balance looks like. I don't see any harm in having a course for the next couple of years, allowing the grant to kind of establish it, and then if there is demand, I have no doubt that administration will bring that demand back to the board, and final approval will be granted. I just think it's good to go check in with any fiscal issue with the current state. So, otherwise, I agree, let's have all the classes.
So I would concur with the chair's opinion on this, and I think that every year we go through an exercise where we direct administration to look at the budget, make cuts or additions as necessary, which generally is cuts in my tenure on the board. And I don't see any reason to hamstring the administration, not allow them to do their job, which is what they're hired to do, which is look at the classes that are most pertinent to our students. And these folks are professional educators. This is what they do for a living, and we should take their opinion and value it. And so therefore, I'll be voting against the amendment.
Yeah, and I'll be voting against the amendment because, we need teachers. This is a no-brainer. Like the chair said, it's icing on the cake that we have the grant, and the superintendent said that it's cost neutral, so it doesn't make any sense.
Peterson, what would students gain from beginning, in reading the curriculum sent out, there's a lot of like presentations, working groups and stuff. A lot of that seems like it's already covered in other classes and other courses.
Yeah, this course focuses less on the content that is taught by teachers in the teaching profession and more on the science of being a teacher. And what does the role of a teacher, what does the culture of a school faculty look like? I would imagine that, you know, anybody who looks at financial reports, similar like we did earlier tonight, understands that how that work is done and how those reports are made. But to really dig deep into the life of an accountant and learn about that and do some research from that lens, see a school through, see a workplace through that lens. This is similar to that, where a student is having a chance to work on some draft of some lesson plans, or to research the different fields that they could be teaching in, or what does all the teaching methodologies and strategies look like that they really maybe didn't notice as a student when they were in a classroom from that standpoint, but now that they're preparing themselves to be an actual teacher, they would learn those different things.
Can I say anything that we can offer to CIS or AP course for our students? We should do. I mean, it's gonna benefit them and have them grow and also get them closer to college, right? I mean, it's a great opportunity, so I just think it's good. Thank you for bringing this to us.
Alright, so we've got an amendment on the table, to, sunset, I guess, the class, any further discussion? There's no further discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
You get a second, Dr. Hunt? I didn't hear a second.
I did.
You did, okay, thank you.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so the amendment has failed, so we're going back to our motion to approve the new course. Any further discussion? There's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Really cooking here. 11, new business. First reading, out-of-state travel by school board members, policy 3B.
Purpose of this policy is to control out-of-state travel by school board members as required by law. The policy committee was advancing this for first reading to the school board with one modification under item 3, section 3, appropriate travel, striking the words travel to regional or national meetings of the National School Boards Association is presumed to fulfill this purpose. So that language would struck for the recommendation of the policy committee. This is the first reading. We'll take action next week.
Okay, 11.2, first reading of the graduation requirements, policy 613.
Thank you again. The purpose of this policy is to set forth the requirements for graduation from the school district here in Forest Lake. This is a first reading. This has been through the policy committee, and with just a few small changes that I'll draw your attention to. First being a small edit to the elective credits for 8th grade at the middle school, to just clarify for families and for income from students moving from 7th grade into 8th grade, point their attention to the state requirement of an art credit being taken in 8th grade in one of 3 different art areas that we offer. So elective credits going from 2.5 to 2, and touching on that art credit that students need to have. And then for the 9th through 12th grade experience, that we're reducing the number of required science credits from 3.5 to 3 to align with what the requirements are at the state level. And that half credit is being taken on as a requirement beginning next fall for students to take a personal finance course in their sophomore, junior, or senior years. And so those are the real changes in this policy. And this is the first reading.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Okay, and then we've got 11.3, approve member Christensen's district employment.
resolved that we approve the employment of Member Christensen for the current fiscal year under the same conditions of employment that we established in August 17th.
Okay, do we have a second? And I would just ask the superintendent, is that one where we recommend Christensen stay? All right, any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, just roll call. All right, member Wood, please do a roll call.
Member Hagelin.
Aye.
Member Peterson.
Aye.
Member Rayfield.
Aye.
Member Christensen abstains. Member Tyson.
Aye.
Member Reveline.
Aye.
Member Corcoran.
Aye.
All ayes.
All right, review upcoming calendar dates, and remember that, classes are, the SAT conference is fantastic.
Yeah, I'll have that in every